Hey, hi guys, welcome to Digital Tech Join. I hope everybody is doing good. So in this video tutorial, we are going to use ASP.NET MVC as a front-end application and use Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services, the document intelligence services, to upload invoices from the front end, that is using ASP.NET, and then extracting the key relevant information from the invoice. So if you recollect last tutorial, I had released one video which is 3 weeks back where I had shown you how to automate or how to upload your invoice and train the model using Microsoft Azure form recognizer and extract key information from the portal. So this I had done on Azure portal and I had used Azure platform to do this. However, I had got many requests and a response basis this video where the users like you had asked me to create a project where I can upload that invoice using ASP.NET MVC and then pass the document to Azure where it will use the pre-built invoice and extract the key information. So I found it very interesting. So this is a video where we are going to learn and see how this can be done. So if anybody has not watched this video on AI automate invoice data extraction using MS Azure, I first recommend you to go and watch this video because that is a background. Here in this tutorial, I'm not going to cover much on the Azure, how to set up the Azure document intelligence service, but only focus on the front end, that is ASP.NET MVC application. So let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is that we'll go to Azure and we will set up our document intelligence service. So this is sign in. Next, we're going to use digital TechJet account, enter the password. So we have logged into our portal, Azure portal. Here, first thing we're going to do is that set up the document intelligence service. It's right over here. Since I've used it, it is showing in my favorites, but definitely you can type in the global search bar document intelligence and now here you can see there is no document intelligence service created. So I'm going to create one. So this is my subscription. This is my digital tech join tutorials. I'm just going to select Central India. So yeah, Central India, and I'm going to name it as Digital Tech Join Doc Intelligence. And this will be free. And next, all network. This is identity and tagging, and then it is going to validate, running final validation. And now the validation is successful. I'm going to say click on create. So it's getting created. Here you can see it has also been displayed. So this is the Microsoft Cognitive Service Form Recognizer, that is document intelligence service. It's getting deployed. So it in 1 or 2 minutes it should get deployed. So the document is completed. Your deployment is complete. Let's go to the resource. So here is the resource, and you can see. So I'll click on home again. So here you can see application. Just refresh it once and click on document intelligence service. Here you should see now we have digital tech join underscore like hyphen intelligence service. So once you click on that, here you can see we can see the keys over here, and you can also see the endpoints. So in the last tutorial video I had shown you, I had clicked on go to document intelligence studio where I had performed the extraction activity, but this time I'm going to do the same thing by using the using ASP.NET MVC. So this is the key endpoint, and this is a key that will come back and copy it in a Visual Studio when we actually write the code. So now let's go ahead and open Visual Studio 2022, create a new project and select the template ASP.NET Core MVC application. Click on Next. So here I'm going to say demo invoice load extraction. Quite a big name, but it's okay. Click on next, and this will be .NET 9, and I'm going to untick configure for HTTPS for now and click on create. So the template is getting loaded. So the first thing we are going to do is that download the required NuGet packages. For that, I'm going to right click on the project, select NuGet packages, click on browse. So let's select the essential one, that is Entity Framework Core. This is it, and this is 9.0.7. Let's install Entity Framework Core first. Okay, so why I'm going to install core design SQL and tools is because I'm going to create a CRUD application. So basically, whenever you upload an invoice, template invoice, it will extract the key information and store it in the database, and that can be displayed on the front end. So just to create a real world project, I'm going to do this. So the use case could be various. There could be various use case of doing this, but this is a project that I'm showing to to the users to show how to extract first is in extract information from the invoice. Second is how to use that ASP.NET Azure Cognitive Service to use the pre-built invoicing models. So core is installed. Then I'm going to install design, then SQL Server, tools. So and one more important component which we need to install is Azure.ai.form. Should be able to say this is important because this is actually going to connect to Azure and no extract the information from the invoice. Install that. Fine. So we have installed all these packages over here. You can see. So these are the packages that we have installed. Second thing, we're going to create a model because we are going to store the data in a database. So here, right click and let's call this invoice entity. Right click and add class invoice entity. So in this invoice entity, we'll have the following fields. So just add it. This will be ID. Then this will be string, file name, prop tab, string, invoice number, string, vendor name. This will be date time, invoice date, decimal. This will be total amount. And finally, we'll have date time. This will be created at. Okay, fine. These are the fields. Now let's go to create a folder and for the data layer. So I'm just call this as data and let's add a class called application DB class, contest class. So this will be my class application DB. And here I'm going to use code, but I just implement this over here. This will implement DB text class. You see automatically this got added. And here I'm going to use option for injection as creating SQL connection. And then here I'm going to use the data set table. So I'm going to refer the model as well. So this will be demo dot models and here I'm going to create a db set, public db set And here I'm going to use invoice entity, and this will be the table name. I'll call it as invoices details. Okay. So once I do that, let me go to the app setting and add the connection string. So here the connection string, I'll add the connection string over here. So I'm just going to paste the connection string over here. So this is the connection string that I've added, and this is my connection string. This is default connection name of the connection string. This is server database. I'm going to change it. I'm going to say demo invoice AI extract. So this is the name of the database. Then you will have trusted underscore connection as through multiple active result sets as through trust server certificate equals to true. So these are the connection string. Okay. So now once the connection string is added, I'm going to go to the program files, and before the build, I'm going to say builders dot services dot add db context, and this will be my application db context. Application db context, and here I'm going to say options lambda expression, and this will be my options dot use SQL server, and within that I'm going to say builder dot configuration dot get connection string, and I have to pass my default connection string name, that is here. I will paste that over here. So I've added this. So now that I have everything in place, I will go ahead and create a database. I'll just open the database server. This is SQL Server Studio that I'm going to use. It's freely downloadable. You can also download it and install it. Version 20.2. While this is getting loaded, let me go ahead and run the migration command. Go to NuGet packages, and here's the console. I'm going to run the command like add migration initial database setup. Build started, and you should be able to see the migration folder in some time in the Explorer, Solution Explorer. Build successful, and here you can see the migration folders added. Okay, so no store specified for total. So if you see there is a warning, it's on error. Basically, what it says that if you go to your data model, here I specified total amount as decimal, but I have not mentioned the decimal values. So it's a 2 decimal or 3 decimal. So it will take up the default decimal in database. However, it is good practice to mention the decimal point. So we will go ahead as of now and update database, and later on. So you can see the database command is added. Let me go ahead and refresh it. Let's see the database command. Okay, so now you can see demo invoice extract. This is the database created, and this is the table invoices details. And here, if you go to design, you can see the total amount decimal is it's mentioned, but this is the default. So this is the default. It has been added 18 and 2 decimal point, which will work for us. So let's go ahead. I think so this is done, and now the main work is that we need to design the upload module, and where we are going to upload the sample invoice. So let me close everything and just build it once, rebuild it once to ensure there is no error. Yes, there is no error. And now what I'm going to do is that create a controller class. So right click on the controller, say add controller, and here we will select an empty controller. I'm just going to remove this one over here and just say upload. Okay, here I'm going to use using data models, model class reference. Then I'm going to use using Azure dot AI dot form recognizer dot document analysis. This is important. So this was important. These two I'm going to also use. So this is enough for now. Now let's go ahead and call the DB context class. So say private read only application DB context underscore text. Okay, and I'm going to create a constructor CTOR tab, and here is my constructor, and I'm going to inject. Okay, so this is one. The second is I'm going to create an index called upload because we need UI for uploading the document. So I'm going to say public. So this will be my HTTP post method, public async task action result. This is upload, and this will take input as iForm file, and this will be invoice file. Yes, this will be the file that will be uploaded, will be passed in this parameter. The first thing we are going to do is that we can simply, before we proceed, just right click, say add view, and this will be an empty view, and this will be upload. So here you can see the view is created with an upload. So we're going to insert the code over here later, but we'll finish the main code over here. So I'm going to just extend the work area so that you can see all the code while I'm typing this. The first is if no files was uploaded, return the view, the same view. So here first check is if invoice file is null and invoice file dot length 0. Okay, so this is a block, and within this I'm going to say return view. First line of code. Second, if there is a file uploaded, let's create a folder. So I'm going to say where upload path, and this is going to be path dot combine dot sorry directory dot get current directory, comma, and this will be root slash uploads. So first it will get the path. If there is no uploads folder, sorry, this is uploads. If there is no uploads folder, then I'm going to create it. If directory dot exist load path, then I'm going to create one. If doesn't exist, create directory, and this will be my upload. Okay, so this is also done. Now I'm going to save that file over there. Where file path dot combine upload path and file name. Okay, and I'm going to say using Bad stream equals to new file stream, file path, comma, file mode dot create. And here I'm going to say await invoice 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 file dot copy to async, and this is string. This will save the file in that directory. So now we have the file uploaded and it is safely uploaded in our directory. Now we need to pass that file to our form recognizer in Azure. So this is what we need to do. Initialize Azure form recognizer client with endpoints and key. If you remember, I showed you about the key and endpoint. Now I'm going to create a connection. It's like a DB connection. So similar, we are going to connect to Azure to our account using the keys and the endpoint. So where client document analysis client, this one, and new URI. Here I'm going to specify our key. We will copy that and a new Azure key credentials, your key. And we have to close the bracket. This won't be required. But so now what we'll do is we'll open up our Azure portal. First, we're going to copy our endpoint. So this is the endpoint copied. We'll go back to our studio and copy this endpoint over here. Just put an enter. Second, you're going to copy the key. So I'm going to just go there, copy this key and over here and paste it away. So this is done. So now our endpoint is getting connected. And after that, we are going to do the analyze the uploaded document. So here I'm just mention analyze the uploaded document. So here I'm going to say analyze document operation. We're going to create a variable called operation. Okay, and then using var file stream variable system.io dot file open it file path. I'm going to read this file, and inside this I'm going to say operation. Sorry, I'm going to say operation equals to await line which is declared above dot analyze document async. Okay, and this will be wait until dot completed. I should have taken the variable wait until dot completed, comma. This is pre-built. Sorry, this is pre-built hyphen invoice, comma, and file stream. So this is semicolon. So why we are using Azure is because we are not using. So if you use this library as using Azure, So it will be called directly. So here you can see, I don't need this now. Wait until completed. Pre-built, make sure spelling size, pre-built hyphen invoice. Okay. And the file stream. So now we are going to analyze the document. The document that I'll upload a sample invoice. We will have this will scan it, extract it, create a variable. And now let's proceed further. Now, since we have completed the core activity, we are going to simply now get get the first recognized document from the result. So you can say where result equals to operation. The spelling is wrong actually. Let me correct it. Operation. Okay. Dot value. And then say where document result dot documents dot first or default. Now, if there is no invoice, we are going to throw an error. So say if document dot is null, say model state dot add model error, no invoice detected, and return view. And if there is a document, we initialize the variables. Sorry, initialize the variables. But first, so with a string, we're going to take invoice ID by default. We're just not giving it a variable. Then we will say date time, invoice date, date time now, then string vendor name, decimal total amount 0. For now, I'm going to extract only this information. This is just a demonstration on how to connect using ASP.NET to your Azure and then extract key information. You can definitely train your invoice model, whatever invoice you have, you can train it in Azure and then you can extract more information with the same code. So now let's first, so we have done everything. We have the document, we have the result. Now I'm going to extract the invoice ID. So if document dot fields try to get value and I'm going to pass invoice ID. So since it's a pre-built model that I'm going to use from Azure, this will recognize even if the invoice has invoice space ID, still it will recognize as invoice ID and extract it. So you don't have to match the exact field that is there in the invoice. Command out variable, I'm going to pass that into our invoice field, which is declared over here. So this will be, I'm going to pass it over here, invoice field, and invoice field dot content not equals to none. This is not required. Document dot fields try invoice ID, comma out where This is the field that the value will be saved on, and invoice field. Sorry, it's not. Sorry, it's content. Content. Fine. So that means we have value in this, and once we have the value, we have declared a invoice ID over here. We are just going to say invoice field dot content. Now we have captured this. Now similarly, we will also extract, say, the date. I'm just going to copy this and paste it over here. So this will be invoice date, invoice date. This will be invoice date field. I'm just going to copy that invoice date field, and this will be invoice date field. Okay, but in this case, I will have to convert it because, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say date time dot track trace and invoice field dot contain, comma, and I'm going to pass the value to this field. So this is to convert and pass it to this field. So this is also done. Now I'm going to extract the vendor ID for the vendor name. So this should follow this. Since it's a string, I'm going to use the same thing. This is vendor name and vendor. This is the variable declared here. And here this is the vendor name. Now before we proceed, I will also show you the invoice that I'm going to upload it. Here is the vendor name. So now for amount, before I extract the amount, I'm going to show you the invoice that I had created. So basically, this is a sample invoice. If you look at the sample invoice that I created, we have the invoice date and we have the vendor name. Okay, we could also extract two. And here you can see the items. Now here I'm extracting the amount as of now in this demo. So here you can see there is a total sum of unit price as well as the total amount. So if there was no unit price total, then it could have easily extracted the main amount. But this purposely I introduced this challenge because you might come across a scenario where we have a total unit price as well as you have the total amount as well. So now let's see how do you extract that. If you don't have multiple total amount, then similar code will do. But here we have multiple things, so I actually added that. So let's do that, and we should be okay with our code, and it should work. So let's go ahead and try out the extracting invoice amount. So I'll just copy this part, paste it over here, and this here I'm going to select invoice total. Okay, and I'm going to say invoice amount. And first, I'm going to validate whether we have the field contents. Okay, now once we have the field contents, here is where we are going to use our code, especially to extract multiple values. So here I'll show it a string raw total. This will be invoice total amount contents. Okay, so let me add a condition also over here. Let me add a condition saying that, let me add this condition so that if it's in the next line of code, we are going to use that if not string dot is null or empty. Let me say is null or white space, yes, and then raw total. Okay, if we have a value over here, now I'll proceed. Okay, now before I proceed and make you understand this code, let me show you what is working till now, so that we can then focus on getting this value. Let me put a breakpoint over here, and let me put a breakpoint over here as well. Now let's go ahead and actually write the, so it's just throwing error because we are not returning any view. Let me return the view. Return view. So now the error is gone. Let me go to the upload and add the razor view for upload. So I'm going to paste the code over here. This is a simple razor view that is actually uploading the document, but still this is a header. I will just go walk you through. This is a header that is upload file invoice. This is a div class. This is the main container class that I created with the width and the style. Then we have the card. I've created a card just to have a background shadow. Okay, this is the card, and then here inside that, this is important, where I mentioned a form action type upload. This is a controller method which will be get called, and then inside that we have a label. We have a label and an input field. Remember, input type is file, and class is form controller. This is the ID, invoice ID. So here you can see invoice file is the ID, name is invoice file, which accepts PDF, JPEG, and PNG. Okay, which is required. And then we have a final submit button. Note that invoice ID, invoice name that I mentioned is there in the controller, and if you can see this is the input parameter, invoice file. So this is the upload screen that I've created. Now let us go ahead and run this code. I've not written code to save the data. First, we'll see how the things happening over here. So I'm going to run the project. I did not build it. Hopefully there should be no error. Build started, and yes, build succeeded. Good. So now I'm going to call this upload over here. So upload. Okay, so there's an issue over here. View is not found in the search code. Okay. So basically here the index view index, we are supposed to return upload as a view. So now it should work. That is the default pointer. So now if I call, it will call the index. Here you can see the upload screen. I'm going to choose the file. It is there in my desktop. Yes, one, and upload. So now let's go one by one. So it has a file, so it's skipped. Now it is, now if you see in the folder in www root, there is nothing. So now it will return the path. Now inside it doesn't file a directory called uploads. So it's going to create one. It is created. So if I just explore this, explore. If you explore it, if you go to root folder, here you can see upload is created. Now it's going to extract this file, and now it is going to save it. It's successfully saved as well. I think here is the file that is saved. Okay, so now it is, now here it is going to analyze the file that is saved. It's going to open it, and now we'll click on it. Now it is actually connecting to Azure. So you can see it is connecting to Azure, and it is extracting the invoice. It is successfully done without any exception. That means it was able to do that as completed through as values through. That means it has values as well. Now here code works good. Here if selecting the first document. Now if there is null, so there is no null, the document was identified. Here are variables. Now this is the first extraction that it is going to do. So let's see how things work. Yes, and here you see it is successfully extracted the invoice ID. This is the invoice ID. Let us go and see. You can see this is the invoice ID. It was able to extract it. Now let's move further. Let us also extract the date. Yes, invoice date is also extracted. Let us move ahead and select the vendor. So here, right text solution. So everything works fine, and here is where we need to now work on the amount. Let me show you what happens. See, if you can see the value here, you can see there are two values displayed. Let me show it to you here, because if you see the invoice, this is I have introduced purposely so that you might come across such scenarios. Here you can see there are two invoices. Okay, this is sum of unit price and sum of total amount. So what we are going to do is we are going to see how do you extract, separate it, and create only one value, that is the amount. So this is the code that we are going to write. So we are in the right path. Let's go ahead and then complete this code. Let me declare a variable for first line. Now this is raw total dot split. So this is split basis the enter key. I showed it to you. Okay, and this will be dot first dot default. This is my dot trim. Okay, so now it is extracted. Then we are clean first line dot replace question mark with nothing, and then replace one. Okay, after that I'm going to fix format like 26 dot comma 58338 dot 20 to 26 538 dot 20. This is what I'm going to do in the below code. If clean dot and use a lambda expression. Not a double quote, but single quote. I'm going to remove that. So I'm going to say clean dot replace dot with nothing. Then I'm going to say clean dot insert in dot len into format dot. Finally, I'm going to decimal dot bracket clean and out to total amount. Fine. So here by now we will definitely debug this code to explain this further. So let's go ahead now and save this record to database. I'm going to say where invoice is a new invoice entity, and this will be like file name. This will be my invoice file dot file name. After that, invoice number. This is a properties that I had created in the model. This is my invoice ID. Then we have invoice date. So this is my invoice date, total amount, and this is my total amount. Okay. And then I'm going to save it. That is underscore content dot invoice details dot add invoice and await test dot save changes. And then I'm going to redirect it to the details page. Now, right now the details page is not there. We'll create one. So I'm still going to write it return redirect to action, and this will be my details page. I'm going to also add one more method over here for details page and create a view. Send as my action result. Not required because we will show all the where invoices. This is await dot in the to list, and then return view invoices. Okay, right click on this and copy this, right click add view details. I'll just paste the razor code. I'll just explain. This is a model, that is IEnumerable invoice entity, that is a class. And here I'm just creating a table with invoice number, vendor, invoice date, amount, and file name. And here for each, I'm just doing a loop and extracting all the information. This simple line of code. So now let us go back to our upload. Okay, we have all the codes created, and let's now run it for the final run and see the project in action. Upload, I'm going to upload invoice, extract. Okay, till now I just going to skip it and it will directly come to this line of code. Okay, now here you can see the values there. As I showed you the two values. Now first I'm going to split it, so it's done a split and it is keeping only one value. Then I've replaced the comma. Okay, and here you can see the comma separated values will be gone. So I've replaced the space and everything over here, and now now I'm going to replace it. So there you can see the comma is gone because I've replaced the comma. And then here I've created a 2 decimal value and share it and passed to the total amount. So okay, so total amount. I'm not sure why the total amount is, the value is there, but it is not passed to this total amount. Let me just see what is the problem. Total amount decimal clean and out decimal trash. Let's figure this out. Let me just see what is the problem here. Total amount is 0 and it should not be because I'm just passing out the value over there. Let me add this line of code. Decimal try first try processing. See, and this will be clean. Okay, so it needs, so guys, I figured out the problem. The why was the object, why the value was not getting saved on total amount. increasing the out parameter, because if you see the rest of the code remains the same. Only thing here, replace question mark. It's not question mark, it's my typo error. It's actually the symbol, rupee symbol. So this was a problem. So let us now run the code again. Just upload the invoice again. So this is the upload. Now I'm going to upload it. So fine, you can see now this is rupee symbol is getting replaced. Now the value is also getting saved. That is the proper invoice value. And this should be now moved to total invoice. Here you can see now it is getting outputted to the output parameters now as value as total amount with the proper invoice value. Now proceeding we further, we have all these values now correctly, and we have actually passed to our model class. Now this should actually save it. So this is the values that will actually be saved in our database. So here it is taken, yes, it's successfully, and now I'm going to save it. So oh, so there is an error and a record. Okay, so there is vendor name is null. So okay, so I have not extracted the vendor name, or I'm not passing it. Vendor name. So vendor name is there, but I'm not passing it. So obviously, let me also do that. Vendor name, and this is okay. So we'll have to run the code again. This time I'll remove from here, and I'm going to put a breakpoint directly over here. Save changes. Okay. So here, okay. Now hopefully this should save. Yes, this should save. Yes, it is successfully saved. Let us go to the database. I'm sure it is there in the database as well. If you go to select, and here you should be able to see invoice. Here you can see the values are saved. Now we'll also run the code, and we will now go to details. Here in the details, I have already added details over here. Let me put a breakpoint, and yes, it is getting called. Yes, the details are also displayed properly over here, and you should be able to see in the view as well. Where is my view? Yes, here you can see the view is already displayed. So let us do one thing. Let us remove all the breakpoint and run the code once again. So we can upload. I could have saved two invoices, but I did not. So I could have, but anyways, there's no duplicacy check right now. So let me upload invoice. Select upload. Now it is extracting the value, the invoice, and it is saving in database, and it will redirect to our details page where we'll be able to see invoice. Great. So guys, with this, I complete the demo where I demonstrated to you how to use Azure cognitive services, that is the document intelligence services, using the form recognizer, and how to use ASP.NET as a front end to upload the invoice, and then upload that invoice to Azure and extract the key information that you can save it in your database. So with this, you can use for real-time use cases on your project. So we have covered two tutorials with respect to form recognizer. One, using the web portal of Azure, that is this tutorial, and the one which I'm going to upload using ASP.NET. So with this, we complete the tutorial. Guys, I hope you like this video. Please do subscribe my channel. Please do share my channel link with your family, friends, and colleagues. Please do comment and like my videos. Uh, please help me to grow my digital tech join channel. Thank you very much for your time. Take care.